Time to wake up. It's Saturday morning. Find some milk and cereal. Grab a bowl and spoon. No, a bigger spoon. Head to the living room and take a seat on the floor while Joseph and Chris present to you Saturday Morning Cartoon!
Hello everybody, welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoon Boom! This is a show where we wake up with the Saturday morning sun, popped on the floor with a big bowl of sugary cereal, watch all your favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris. You always turned out like British old there or something. Like I felt like, I don't know, I should be getting you some tea when you did that. I don't know. Like you wouldn't be able to stand up and do it yourself.
No, I wouldn't. I'm in an armchair, but I have a very nice robe on and maybe a monocle.
And nothing under the robe.
No, never. This morning we watched Eek the Cat. How would you say that? It's like exclamation point.
Eek the cat.
Eek
I don't
the
know.
cat.
Eek. I can't say it without going real high pitched. What is this?
Well, yeah, because like
I can't be like eek.
Because yeah, like you don't eek if you have a deep voice. Eek.
Yeah. You don't go eek. You go eek.
Eek the cat.
It's got three other names or something too. I don't know. But this was suggested to us by MF Mad via Reddit and at Haribal Moore via Twitter. Haribal Moore. I think I said that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. But thank you both for suggesting this.
I think you apologize to Haribal Moore every time you try to say their name.
Oh, probably. I apologize to a lot of people when I try to say their names. Not just like these people, but like if I meet someone in general and like they're like, "Hi, I'm Marcus." I'm like, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that. So I'm just going to apologize right now.
Well, for me, it's just like, "Hey, I'm Marcus," but I'm not going to remember that. So I'm just going to be like, "Hey, you.
Hey, sir.
Hey, guy. How's it going, dude?"
So that is a talent I have developed over years of working in an office building and not like really wanting to learn anyone's name. So like when someone comes by and I'm just like, "Sir," you know, in that kind of jokey way, but it's because I don't know who you are anymore. So
yeah.
If I ever call you sir, you know what's up. Sorry, I shouldn't have given away that secret.
I just kind of give people a nod of acknowledgement like, "Hey, I know you exist."
Good job existing over there.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Nameless person.
Glad you're still a person.
So the show Eek the Cat, no, I'm going to do it deep. So the show Eek the Cat ran from 92 to 97, and it was created by Savage Steve Holland and Bill Kopp, produced by Savage Studios Limited, Nelvana, Film Roman. Well, the Clutter, which was a third part that was added to it, was developed by Film Roman. I'm going to tell you about that real quick. So Clutter, apparently, and I don't think I ever saw this segment. It was, okay, so it's Eek the Cat, Terrible Thunder Lizards, and then the third segment was Clutter. Clutter is these kids create a dog for themselves out of trash because they're not allowed to have a real dog.
Oh, God.
And then they go around with this trash dog solving mysteries like Scooby-Doo.
I didn't ever see that and didn't realize how much I wanted to see that. Because that sounds so bad, it's good.
I hope the dog doesn't speak at all and they just kind of drag it around.
I like the idea of like every time it opens its mouth, like more trash just falls out.
Yeah.
Like fish heads and banana peels and things like that. That'd be great.
And they're just like, "Oh, good idea, Clutter."
That'd be great.
Yeah. That's amazing. If that's not the show, then we need to make it one.
We'll make it.
So also Fox Children's Productions and 20th Century Fox Television ran for 5 seasons, 75 episodes total on the Fox Kids Network in the US and YTV in Canada. For a short synopsis, written by Daniel Joss Leary, the comical misadventures of Eek, a kind-hearted anthropomorphic purple cat who finds himself in constant mortal danger while trying to help others.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, so the theme song, just to start us off, that was a tune that was stuck in the back of my mind forever, and I just didn't know where I had heard it. until I heard it again on watching the intro. And I was like, oh my God,
Dude.
that's where that's from.
I forgot or didn't realize how metal this intro is to this show. Like, what? This is a cartoon about a fluffy, overweight purple cat constantly getting injured, but like the intro is just like metal. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. I love it.
Yeah, it's an awesome
man.
intro, and he's just
So good.
exploding, getting hit by stuff. And yeah, like this seems like more of a young adult cartoon than it is a kid's cartoon. So I don't feel like they were in the right spot for their demographic.
Yeah, I could kind of see that. Do you think, and I've noticed this with a few shows before, but do you think because really back in the day, there wasn't very many like adult directed animation aside from like, I mean, Heavy Metal from back in the day, and then like The Simpsons. Do you think that there's some shows, and maybe this could be one of them, that the creators, especially with a guy like, what's the one dude's name? Savage something?
Savage Steve Holland, who also directed the movie Better Off Dead.
Was he trying to be a pro wrestler? Because that is a pro wrestler name, but I like it. I kind of wonder if sometimes like they'll go to these studios and pitch this idea, and it is for like an adult kind of audience, and then the company's like, no, that's not where the money is. Let's tool things down a little bit, and we'll sell this to kids. I kind of wonder if that's what happened here, and what happens like maybe with a lot of cartoons, you know, especially when you get those ones that are like based off of an R-rated movie, and then they make it into a children's cartoon like RoboCop or something.
Maybe, but also it could have just been a product of the times. Whereas now, the way when we're looking at it with 2020 glasses, and I don't mean that by 2020 vision, I mean that by the year 2020 glasses, where we're looking at it like this might be too much for kids. But back in the 90s, when we were kids, we were probably like 7 when this came out.
Yeah.
I think we would have been super into it because it's all like slapstick comedy. I mean, yes, it's about a cat being brutally harmed in every single episode just for trying to help people. But that's kind of funny. But I don't know if it's like 2020 funny for young kids. I think that it's 1992 funny for us who were kids who thrived on violence. But
that's true. I mean, come on, like the people that animated shows like this grew up watching Tom and Jerry, which is also just cat violence, like after cat violence. And
this is okay. Hear me out real quick. This is kind of the in between. This is the transition between Tom and Jerry, and Itchy and Scratchy. The cat sits right in between.
Yeah, I think you're right. I can see that. I like your thought process.
So I guess let's move on with the actual episode. So who were some of the actors who played in this show?
Okay, so the character of Eek was voiced by Bill Kopp. And as you kind of indicated there, and this will just kind of go to show, he didn't do a lot of voice acting. He usually was just a writer for shows like this one, Tasmania, and coincidentally, Joseph, he did several Tom and Jerry cartoons.
Oh, okay.
So that makes a lot of sense, right? The character of Annabelle was voiced by Tawny Katane. The characters of both Bill and the Granny were voiced by Charlie Adler, who we have spoken about quite often on this show before. You have heard his voice in shows such as Transformers, Jim, Brave Star, Tiny Toon Adventures, Earthworm Jim, Real Monsters, Felix the Cat, and so many more.
So many.
I was getting sultry there. Character of Wendy was voiced by Elizabeth Daily, who is also known for the voice of Buttercup from the original Powerpuff Girls cartoon, and also Tommy Pickles from Rugrats. The mom, who I don't think we actually saw in the ones we watched, was voiced by Eleanor Donahue, and Mittens voiced by Dan Castellaneta, mostly known as the voice of Homer Simpson. So there you go. That's basically the main cast. And even some of those we don't really see very often. I did want to bring up, so there is a character that comes up every once in a while named Elmo, and I couldn't 100% figure it out who voiced him more because, or actually even in general, because there's conflicting information on several sources. So some people, some websites report that it was Bill Kopp voicing him, but other websites report that it was Savage Steve voicing him.
Oh,
And I don't know which one it was, but it was one of the creators, basically.
I didn't realize that it ran for 5 seasons, but I guess it makes sense
Same.
once it got combined with Terrible Thunder Lizards and Clutter.
Extravaganza.
So for free tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of Eek cereal, his motto is that it never hurts to help, although with Eek, this is frequently not the case.
Yeah, he's always hurt.
I love that motto in conjunction with what's actually happening in the episode. I think it's the perfect motto. And it wasn't something that I realized or appreciated as a kid, but now I think it's really clever.
Yeah, because of the irony.
Yeah, the irony.
The irony of it.
Gene Wilder, John Lovitz, and Steve Martin were considered for the voice of Eek. Eventually, the role went to co-creator Bill Kopp, who used a voice he and his siblings had come up with for one of their cats.
I like that idea.
Yeah. You know, everybody voices their animals in different ways.
Oh, yeah. I love the voice that he used for Eek with the lisp. That was great. It just made him sound like kind of nerdy, and I don't know. It fits that character super well.
Yeah.
Although, like, Steve Martin, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he would have done well, but like the only person I would have considered out of those two would be Gene Wilder. I think that would have been really interesting, but I really think Bill Kopp did a great job with this voice.
Alternate titles were Eek and the Terrible Thunder Lizards for season 2, and then Eek Extravaganza for season 3 onward. Terrible Thunder Lizards was originally intended to be a spin-off from Eek, but it aired as a weekly segment of Eek Extravaganza instead, and Eek and Terrible Thunder Lizards starting in season 2. And then Clutter started in the 4th season, so there's a whole lot that happened to this show in the time of its creation.
That's really weird to me. Do you think it's just like the creators wanted to do other things, but they didn't have another vehicle, so they kind of shoehorned it into this? Or like, I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's what it sounds like with Terrible Thunder. It seems like they wanted it to be its own property, but then Eek probably was doing so well at the time they didn't want to just straight up cancel it, or needed to, or at least trying to soft launch Terrible Thunder Lizards and transition out of Eek. But I guess Eek retained its popularity, so they just kept it going in conjunction with Terrible Thunder Lizards, which never broke away from it.
Yeah. And I suppose there were other shows around that time period that were seeing some success doing similar things. Like I think of like Animaniacs, and then to some degree Tiny Toon Adventures did a few things like that where it would hone in on like a specific character that wasn't part of like the normal crew and stuff, and do like segments and things like that. So I guess that's not that weird of a decision for the time, but I feel like right now, if that show were to be made nowadays, I feel like that would be kind of a weird decision. Like I think of a show like, let's just say Steven Universe, for example. If they just had like half a Steven Universe episode and then the other half of it was dedicated to something completely else, like that just wouldn't make sense, you know?
Yeah, and I think it would have made more sense, and maybe it was just like they didn't really have a template for it at the time, but if they had played it the same way the Animaniacs did, where it was a separate segment within the same show, instead of being a different show altogether. And Eek the Cat video game was released for Super Nintendo in 94. I didn't know that.
I only knew that just from when I was adding it to the list. The video game popped up as one of the results, but
I've definitely never played it. I wonder what it would be like.
I don't know. I'm sure you're probably playing a cat that's constantly injured.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're put in mortal danger quite a bit. If it's anything like the show. Yeah. There were also lots of guest stars in this. Again, very much like Animaniacs that came just after. There's William Shatner, David Duchovny, Nia James, Gillian Anderson, John Walsh, Weird Al Yankovic, Tim Curry, John Landis, just to name a few. There was a huge list, and that's just crazy. And we saw some in one of the episodes we watched too, which we'll talk about when we get there. So we might as well just start it out. You had heard of this before, right? Like you would watch it some as a kid?
Oh, yeah, I watched it as a kid. And here's the thing is, like, as a kid, I thought it was okay, but if there was something else on I could watch, I would watch something else. But I remember, I think when Extravaganza, that part of it came out, And I don't remember if they were, I feel like they did longer episodes when it was Extravaganza. Like, was it like an hour block instead of like the 20 minutes or something? I just remember it being on a lot or lasting a long time. And it was kind of like filler of like, okay, well, I'm waiting for this other show to come on, so I'm going to play with some toys while this is on. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it might have gone, a lot of it might have gone over our heads as kids. Just because there's so many movie parodies and spoofs in here that I don't think I would have really appreciated as a child, because I don't remember. I mean, I remember the show, I remember the intro and everything, but I don't have fond memories of Eek the Cat as a show. Like, it wasn't something that I was super dedicated to. But watching it now, I'm like, man, I wish I had, because it's really clever and the writing's really good. I just think that maybe they leaned too much in that direction and less in the slapstick kid comedy direction. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't enough to grab my attention as a kid. But now I understand why it was a good show and the genius behind it. So let's go ahead and jump into the episode of today's show. The very first episode, highest rated episode, and finally a random listener chosen episode. Order may vary depending on how those episodes fall chronologically. But of course, I have to start with the very first episode, which was Misereek, Season 1, Episode 1. Where Eek realizes he doesn't get much attention from his family, so he sets out to find a new owner.
Yeah, that happens. Like at the beginning of this episode, so it looked like, and maybe I just didn't see it right, but I thought it looked like it was in the morning, and I thought these kids were scarfing down some bowls of cereal, but then all of a sudden it was like plates of spaghetti. Did I just hallucinate, or what happened there?
I mean, so it starts out with Eek napping. I guess he's having a cat nap and dreaming about food. And he is sleepwalking, or kind of like sleep floating. So he falls out the window, then goes back inside because he sees his family eating and thinks that surely they'll give him some food. And since that doesn't end up happening, they're just like, I don't know what you want. Sorry, as they're just munching down, scarfing down spaghetti and burping. They're just disgusting humans.
They really are. They're so gross.
And so he just goes outside. He doesn't go like specifically looking for a new family, but he's attracted by the smell of this food. And he sees this cat, Mittens, who is being taken out by Granny. She's telling him basically like, don't be late for dinner, go out and do your thing, and whatever. And Mittens is like, he's neurotic and just like, oh, I can't do this, man. I got to get out of here, man. Like, you got to take my place. He allows Eek to go in there and is like, here, you can have the dinner. And Eek takes the chance at that because he's hungry and not thinking anything of it. And then this just turns out to be a huge like misadventure with Granny.
Yeah, I gotta say, I love the design for Mittens, because this looks like a cat that's ready to get put down.
Yeah.
Like, he's just so like ragged looking and just looks gross.
Well, after we see the way Granny treats treats Eek, we're like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. And what's funny too is it's not like she's trying to be abusive or trying to be dangerous to the cat. It's just she's so incompetent and I don't know, just so not with it that she's constantly putting the cat in danger. So it's like, yeah, no wonder Mittens is probably like 2 or something, but he looks like he's like 40 years old in cat years. Like he's just looks like he's going to fall apart. So gross looking.
A lot of it has to do with sight gags, or like gags having to do with her lack of sight, where it's like she's trying to take Eek to give him a bath and she accidentally puts him in a pot on the oven and is turning the dials to turn the heat up. But she's like, these stupid faucets, is the water off again?
And instead of soap, she grabs a stick of butter and rubs it all over him.
Yeah. So she's kind of cooking him in a way. And then takes him out of there. And this part is where we kind of see his selflessness, where there's a phone call. And so she tries to answer it and is just saying like, hello, forever. Even though she's pulled the phone out of the socket, she's kind of disrupted the wall where it's causing the shelf holding her knitting award, her knitting trophy.
Her knitting trophy. An anvil.
Yeah, it's actually a giant anvil. And so it's about to fall on her head. And so we see Eek reacting. And like I said, this is where we see his selflessness. he's trying to save her from this anvil falling on her head. So he's trying to hold it up desperately. Then like a whole lot of things happen. He gets soap thrown in his mouth accidentally when she kind of like is walking back into the kitchen. And then he comes in the kitchen after getting hit with the anvil and then getting the soap in his mouth. And he's kind of like, stumbling around, but his mouth is foamy. So she thinks he has rabies.
Those rabies are back again.
The rabies are back. Yeah. And so ends up trying to take him to the vet, which ends up causing more misadventure. They get chased by the cops.
Oh, that's my favorite part. I love it. In this cartoon in general, I love how over the top they get with these jokes. Like a good example is, and it has to do with the situation too. Like the knitting trophy just being an anvil that says knitting trophy on it. Like that's just one of those things that it's completely ridiculous and over the top for the situation. Now, when it comes to these cops, the Granny's like driving like really erratically and fast and causing all kinds of problems. So these cops are chasing her, and they're more concerned about their coffee and donuts, of course. But like when they eventually I think they just wrecked basically. They call it an airstrike.
Well, they wreck into a dynamite factory.
Oh yeah.
And
I forgot about all that stuff. Oh my God. Yes.
They hit a tub of nitroglycerin and it leaks down on them and then nothing happens. And they're like, all right, let's get out of here. So they slowly back up and hit a gumball machine. It tilts over and that's enough of a spark to blow up from the nitroglycerin. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. I love that. But yeah, the idea of then it's just like, someone speeding. But they're like, all right, we better call it an airstrike. So then it's this helicopter like firing guns and stuff at them. It's insane.
Eek tries to save the helicopter pilot because Granny has accidentally launched a grappling hook to attach it to her car as she's going through a tunnel. And so he goes to save the pilot. And his saying when he goes to save somebody, when he sees someone needing to be saved is kumbaya.
Oh, that's right.
I fell into a rabbit hole of the meaning behind kumbaya and the origin of it.
Okay, please explain.
Okay, there's a lot of contradictory information and discrepancy, but some of the origin is said to be from like African-American slavery descent, where it was like a folk song basically saying like, come by here, my lord.
Oh.
And because they're in need of someone's in need of assistance, like, come help me. It was kind of misheard is what it seems like, is it was kind of misheard because I heard like one of the original recordings of it. And the way that they're saying it is sort of like in a Creole sort of fashion where it's like kumbaya or come by here. And so the way that they're saying it, you could hear it as kumbaya if you're just kind of saying it really quickly. The contradiction to that is that some other group had said that the kumbaya are like separate African words that have some sort of meaning to them. But then there was another contradiction to that that's like those words don't exist in any language. So I think it's just kind of a mishearing of what was originally just come by here.
Oh, man.
And so then in the 90s, which is when this was made, it sort of got turned into a negative connotation about someone being naive. It was sort of a political thing where it's like, okay, you can't help everybody in this kind of kumbaya, hold everybody's hands nature.
Right.
You have to think it through. So it
became like a hippie kind of.
Exactly.
Thing.
So it's like being naively hopeful or naively optimistic. And that is a perfect description of Eek the cat. Is he's so naively optimistic and thinks he can help everybody, but he's actually very clumsy and not very smart. So that's what puts him in danger so much. So that's my little history lesson on Kumbaya.
I like that. So then the saying that he says as like an exclamation or reaction is actually once again a bit of irony, because he's saying it in exclamation, but it really applies to himself as a person.
Yeah. And he's basically saying like, I'm naively optimistic.
I like that.
And people need help. I mean, the help part's there, yes. And he's trying and he has good intentions, but he's just very clumsy.
With that clumsiness too, like when he detaches that grappling hook, but he's hanging from this rope, and it slams him through like a cactus farm and then a bee farm. all kinds of stuff. He ends up in, eventually he ends up back in the lady's car, and she thinks she arrives at the vet, but really she arrives at a zoo. And I like when she's just like, oh, it says come inside, have a seat, blah, blah, blah. And the sign will actually say like danger, wild animals or something like that.
Yeah, it's like danger, absolutely do not enter.
Yeah. She like throws him in like a cage with like lions and tigers and pumas and all kinds of stuff. He ends up at a petting zoo at some point, and it's kind of, he gives into peer pressure because all these animals are like, pet me. But of all the ones he pets, he ends up petting the porcupines.
He ends up petting the porcupines, and so in the next scene, like you see them like all naked, bare and like no quills, and so they're all on his hands and stuff. It's just how helpful he is. He feels the need to help everybody, even at his own risk, constantly.
My favorite character that we get introduced to here is the diving mule.
Larry the diving mule, who sounds like Johnny Bravo.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, they made him sound kind of like an Elvis thing, but he's so derpy looking. He's just the derpiest looking diving mule. I mean, for one, a diving mule. What? But the look on his face is amazing.
Hey, buddy, relax. Yeah. I just loved him.
And what's interesting about this, too, is like all these jokes, there's so many that we're not mentioning, but it's because these are so rapid fire as far as like how they're happening. It's like 1 second he's in the cactus farm, 1 second he's in the bee farm, 1 second he ends up in this part of the zoo, and the next second he's in this other part of the zoo. And it just keeps happening. Everything happens so fast that it would take us like hours if we wanted to pick this whole thing apart. But it's just joke after joke after joke in this episode, and it does not stop, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, those episodes are rapid fire because there's so many that I wrote down. They're like, oh, that was funny, that was funny, that was funny. But I can't mention them all, but it was all good. It's just like it goes by so quickly. You don't have a lot of time to sit and appreciate them. But I'm not saying it as a bad thing. Like they're all funny. It's just a lot to digest.
It's one of those things where if you went back and watched it multiple times, you'd probably notice something different each time.
Yeah, you'd find something new to appreciate about it.
And I love writing like that. I think that's super awesome. And I always appreciate when that happens. To make long story short for this, eventually in a very roundabout way, he and Granny end back up at Granny's house. She makes this big feast for him since he's had such a big day and he was so good at the quote unquote vet. Right when Mittens comes home and he's like, all right. And Mittens like shoos him out of the house and then gets the whole feast for himself. But, and I thought that I didn't expect this to happen. I thought it was just going to end when Eek got pushed out of the house. But they gave him a good ending where that he saw that there was like missing posters all over the town for him. And he gets back to his home and everyone's so happy he's there and they missed him. And they had a basket of food out for him and everything. So I was like, oh, he actually did get like a bit of a nice ending. But then Mittens ends up getting a bad ending after that.
Yeah, that was kind of a surprise to me, too, to see him actually get what he deserved in a good way.
Yeah, he just wanted to eat, man.
Yeah, he just wanted to eat. So he finally got his food. But after going through that whole trial and error, a lot of fun for a first episode. It really sets the stage. But it's interesting because, again, I'm going to keep comparing to Animaniacs because that's the freshest reference I can think of for it. Or that's like the best reference I can think of for things where it's like, it seems like it's very, the episodes they all have kind of a similar flow to them, but they all feel very different. Like this next one is basically a musical. Season 2, episode 8A, which is, season 2 is when it started to split them up between that and Terrible Thunder Lizards. It's called Quadrapedia. This was the highest rated. And in this one, 2 witch cat sisters are jealous that Annabelle got to appear on the cover of a magazine and decided to kidnap her and feed her to their zombie lawyers. Meanwhile, Eek and Elmo set out to rescue her.
And this is the episode that makes me question everything about myself, as in, am I a furry? Because like I definitely had some kind of attraction to these witch cats. I was like, what is happening?
These were witch cats who were, I guess, had put a spell on themselves to look younger and more beautiful. And Annabelle, who is Eek's girlfriend, and she is a very large pink cat, but it's like Eek doesn't see that. All he sees is her as like a beautiful cat. And when other people comment on her weight to him, he's just like, really? Like he doesn't see it. He doesn't get it.
Yes.
And so I just think that's really funny. And it's even like it plays on that in the intro too, where he's like dressed up as like a Superman character and he picks her up to fly her away, but you can see him struggling.
Yeah. Oh man. I struggle with that character a little bit. And I want to explain why. And I also want to explain why, even though I struggle with it, I'm not against it. I struggle with the idea of so many jokes at the expense of that character's being overweight so severely, because I feel like, there's got to be people out there that you see stuff like that and they get kind of like upset about it, like people in positions like that. However, it's like, I mean, for one, you can't please everyone all the time, and comedy is about, poking fun at things. But the thing that saves it a little bit for me is that they do make her, like you said, they make her so desirable to Eek, and also she's like on the cover of like magazines and stuff, like pet magazines, and that's where like these witches are angry about it and jealous of her on these magazines and stuff. And so it's this weird like balance, this very delicate balance that they're doing with this character. And it just, I was very conflicted about how I feel about her portrayal and like what they do with it. I don't know. Did you feel any of that at all, or what's your take on it?
Yeah, and that's why I struggle to even say like to call her like a fat cat, because that's what she is. But it's like it's such a derogatory term now. It's like fat shaming is a huge thing now. Back in the early 90s, they didn't care at all about that kind of stuff. But in defense of the writers, they treated it with a lot of grace here in that they did make her, like you said, a desirable character. And I'd like to think that they didn't do it as like a joke to poke fun at, overweight characters or anything. I think there was a kindness to it. And it's like, yes, she's overweight, but, she's also desired and she's beautiful and this and that.
Exactly.
And so I'm trying to look at it in a more positive way. But I could see where you're coming from, because anytime we kind of tread that territory, there's some discomfort to it. But exactly. I'm hoping that it was the public is, I guess someone who might be someone who does this sort of fat shaming are represented by these two witch cats who are like, why aren't we on magazine covers? We're beautiful. We're this, we're that. And it's like, yeah, but you're just bad people.
Right.
And she is a sweetheart, and that's why everyone loves her and this and that. And she is beautiful. You guys just think you are. And so I think that it takes a very nice approach in that way.
Yes.
I haven't seen all the episodes, so I can't say for sure that it continues like that. But, that's just the way that it was helping me look at it in the episode we watched.
Yeah, and I remember that a little bit as a kid too, like the duality of her character design and how she's portrayed is very, I don't know, just so different and so strangely balanced. But like, yeah, like, and I know I'm gonna get called an SJW for what I said because it's happened several times before. But it's just like, I'm just trying to like consider the thought process that people that are in that kind of position might see or think when they see a character like that. But like, yeah, like you said, I feel like they took this character and they're like, yeah, here's a few jokes kind of at her expense, but we're also showing why she's such a great character and why she's so loved and all of these things. So I do think that, yeah, they were, I think it was all very purposeful as far as like trying to really keep it balanced and to be kind about it, as you said.
And one more thing about that, I'm thinking of her as a character. She knows she's beautiful too. Like she doesn't she's not uncomfortable.
Oh, she's very
with
confident.
Yeah, she's very confident. And so I think that again is just like, to the writer's credit, a very strong note that they used there.
And I love her dog, her bodyguard.
Oh,
shark dog.
Sharky. He's
awesome.
literally
a little dog that looks like a shark. And he breathed fire at one point. That was great. I liked that. It gets very Wizard of Oz at one point when like the witches release I thought they were rats.
They're definitely flying rats, but Eek keeps calling them flying monkeys. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, obvious, to Wizard of Oz, they go and kidnap Annabelle and take her to the tower where the witches are. And then as Eek is trying to follow them and get to that tower, that's when he runs into brave Elmo, who's scared of everything. I love it. Yeah, he was a very funny character. And it reminded me of the movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Like, I think of Brave Sir Robin. Like, it was definitely, to me, it felt like an ode to that, of this, because they're dressed as knights and stuff. What did you think of some of the music in here? So, like, most of the music was just, to me, was just like, okay, yeah, it's cartoon, goofy musical. Some of the singing's not great and stuff. But the Witch Cats were amazing, like rock singers.
Oh, rocking out. Yeah.
Oh, dude, the song after they end up actually catching Eek and Elmo, and they get brought into the tower, and they unleash all those demons and monsters from that cage to come after them. That song was awesome.
All the songs in this were really well done, surprisingly well done. I mean, this is when it was just 10-minute episodes, so maybe they felt like, okay, yeah, we can do 10 minutes of this.
Yeah.
And they were able to. There were very few points where it actually broke from song and had actual dialogue. And I thought that was really commendable. It's like, I was impressed by this musical episode more than I thought I would be.
I was too. Yeah, and I get, at first going in, I was just like, a musical episode's the highest rated? That's weird. But it made sense. It was really good.
We've got Brave Elmo who, quote unquote, Brave Elmo who comes to help. I like how his people give up on him too after he's like, ooh, like, are there bugs, things that bite? Like, he's just so nervous. Yeah.
I know. That's what all the other elks look disgusted and just walk out on him. They look at him like he's trash.
And when it goes back to the witch cats, they're rocking out about releasing demon lawyers.
Yeah, that was good.
They just treat it all with such sincerity. I think that's the best part of it.
The show knows what it is, but takes what it is seriously, even though it's all comedy. And I love that about it. I also like so eventually Sharky shows up, scares the monsters back into the cage. Everyone gets to escape. And like, it kind of does that like future cutaway kind of thing that's telling you where everybody ended up that was involved in this little escapade, and that the bad cats ended up just selling sunglasses out of their car.
Yeah.
I love that. That was just, it's one of those things that it didn't, I don't know. It was like a tidbit that they didn't need to add, but they did. And it made it so much more funny.
And then Sharky got his hands on one of those monkey suits, the flying monkey suits, and no one's sure where he is. So there's obviously not continuity to this show. It just is random occurrences, but it's great.
It was good.
So that episode, wonderful. The last episode we watched, though, was Fist of Furry, season 5, episode 5, I think. There was some, I don't know, it's always different. Like, IMDb says one thing, Wikipedia says another thing. So it's season 5, episode something. This was the listener pick. I love the way it started with Sharky watching the mighty boring shower strangers.
Okay, I knew you were going to get so excited about that. I was laughing so hard when I saw this, and I was like, Joseph is going to lose his mind when he sees this.
That was such a good parody. It was so good. And I love that it wasn't just a cutaway where it's like, oh, they just said the title, and it was like,
they kept going with it.
Go shower strangers or something. They did all the song and stuff, but then they actually showed like a clip from the episode.
Yeah, so explain that for our listeners. What exactly happened there?
So it's all these people with Power Ranger helmets on and, appropriately colored towels that are in the shower, and they're just like, hey, stranger, never seen you before in my life. And then they all are just saying that back and forth. Oh, I thought it was so good. Like, I'm not doing it justice because you have to see it to really understand. But man, it was funny.
Those like soap scud monsters show up in the showers and they start fighting them.
Like the soap scud monsters are putties, and they're just like, let's clean up this town. Let's work together, strangers. Mighty boring shower strangers is just perfect. That's one of Sharky's favorite shows, apparently. It gets him really riled up.
Yeah, he's like in a, if I remember right, he's wearing like a robe and like belt like a martial artist would wear while he's watching, and then he's like trying to do all the moves and stuff but keeps hurting himself. Gi, he's wearing a gi, and then Eek sees this and he feels bad because he's always hurting himself. I think he's talking to Elmo about it. Elmo's just randomly there, Eek ends up seeing or hearing, I don't remember which, a commercial about a martial arts. I think it was like a Taekwondo expo kind of thing or classes or something. So he makes a phone call and he calls over a martial arts expert to meet Sharky. And this is Cynthia Rothrock, which I didn't know until I looked up. Actually, when they brought her up and she started talking, I was like, wow, this is not a great voice actress. I wonder if this is a real person voicing herself as a cameo. So I looked it up and that's exactly what it was.
Yep.
So she was like a martial artist. I don't know, like almost like a female Chuck Norris.
Yeah, she was like an 80s action star / martial artist. I'm in the same boat. Like, I didn't know who she was either. I thought she was a fake character at first until I saw a character later. Then I'm like, oh, there are guest stars in this. I wonder if she was a real person. I looked her up and I was like, wow, she's been in so much.
Yes, lots of movies.
I kind of want to watch one of her movies now just to see how they are.
Yeah, there's a specific one I saw that I wanted to check out. But she kind of asked Sharky some questions like, well, why are you so interested in martial arts? And she's like talking about how she'll give him some lessons and stuff. But I love that though Eek is the one that called her to give him lessons. The reason he wants lessons is to beat Eek up. And that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But Eek ends up trying to learn also. Like, they're both taking lessons from her and stuff. And I love that casual, well, what you think is that casual aside about, like, sometimes you'll have to deal with enemies that maybe you've insulted or somebody from your ancestry is insulted way back when. And then these guys, like, immediately show up and they're like, your great grandfather insulted our family's honor.
Yeah.
And then they kidnap her.
It's just like the setup to the kind of movies that she was in back in the 80s.
Exactly.
The reason that he called her in the first place was because it was a commercial for a movie she was in, like a trailer for Wrong Sarong in Hong Kong.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wrong Sarong.
And I just want to mention this other part right before all this happened when Eek was talking to Elmo. So he was like, you know what I say? Anything that riles folks up and brings about destructive thoughts and puts dangerous ideas into their young mind should be taken off the air. And then he's like, now, if you'll give me a second, we now return to Rush Limbaugh.
Oh.
And it's like, that's still a very topical, like controversial thing
I would be fine if he's taken off the air.
Right. But it's like, this is what I mean by it's got so much humor that would just go over a kid's head completely.
Exactly. And yeah, that's definitely a joke that, I didn't write it down, but I remember I really got a big laugh out of that one. And yeah, exactly. That's something I wouldn't have understood as a kid because I didn't know who he was other than my grandma listened to him all the time and he yelled a lot. And that's all I knew.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he sounds mad. But yeah. And then they do this fun Shaft parody with Sharky. That was great. I like that.
Oh my God. Yes. I loved that parody too.
Sharky.
They did that song. They did it so well, like a reproduction of it with just Sharky stuff.
He's a bad dog.
He's an irritated dog, and no one understands him but his owner. The musical cues in this show are just amazing.
They track this gang or I don't know what you want to call it, clan, to this like ancient kind of temple, and Eek and Sharky are going to have to be the ones to rescue her. And then they're confronted by these two samurai, and like Sharky is like, I think doubting himself, but ready to fight. And Eek accidentally like falls from something and lands on them and knocks him out. But Eek still thinks Sharky took him out. And he's like, good job. But it turns out these samurai were just two penguins in costumes. And I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Where do these penguins come from?
I bet those penguins are recurring characters. And so we were supposed to know who they were.
They were funny, though. Like just their banter like afterwards was hilarious.
Yeah.
And they just leave. They just walk off. Like,
For some reason, Fabio comes in.
Oh, I know the reason. It's because so yeah, they find Cynthia in the cell, and then Fabio comes over and he's just like, oh, I was visiting my mom. She lives next door, but I heard you screaming.
Yeah.
I heard all the commotion. I'm like, what? I love that his mom just lives next door to this ancient temple that's like this base for these evil clansmen, and he just like shows up like, oh yeah, I heard some commotion, just thought I'd see what's
again
up.
That's the subtle humor they have.
Yeah, and Fabio was voicing himself. I also like that Well, the reason Cynthia got kidnapped so easily, even though she's a martial arts star, is because like when they first showed up, she fell and injured her ankle. So she was, like just not at her peak and wasn't able to fight off. Even with her injured ankle, and Fabio shows up and basically saves her at the last minute instead of Eek and Sharky, she carries Fabio down the stairs.
Yes, but you're missing the best part of that though. I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
So she tells him like, I twisted my ankle hours ago and it just won't heal. He's like, hours ago? I can't believe it's not better.
Oh God, that was so stupid.
What he was so known for at the time.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they put that in there. I appreciated it.
I just remember rolling my eyes and face palming like, oh God, you guys had to do that, didn't you? But oh man, yeah, that episode was really funny, especially because it was such a short episode too, or was it? Like I can't remember how long it was, but I feel like it was pretty short.
It was 10 minutes. This one, and the one before it were both 10-minute episodes.
They go by so quick too.
Yeah, season 1 was the only season that had full-length 20-minute episodes. After that, they were all 10-minute segments combined with other shows.
Oh, man. And they did a great job with it, too. Like, I feel like that format works better for them, that shorter format, for the type of humor it is, especially with so much slapstick and stuff.
Yeah, that rapid-fire humor, you need a break from it. You can't do it for 20 straight minutes forever.
Yep. And, like, even though that first episode was fun, there was a few times I was kind of like, okay, when's it going to end?
Right, yeah. It's just like, all right, how many farms can he get dragged through? Even though I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, it looks like it's about time we send our inner kids to visit the cat with 900 lives and maybe get some martial arts training from Cynthia Rothrock, then see what they thought of the show, Eek the Cat.
This cartoon was a lot of fun because you've got this silly cat who keeps getting hurt, trying to help other people from getting hurt. And then there's a shark dog and pretty rock star kitties and ninjas and Fabio and everything. So I gave this cartoon 5 bowls of Penguin Samurai cereal out of 5.
From the title alone, I thought this show would be some sort of predecessor to Courage the Cowardly Dog, but it ended up having its very own unique identity. While at its core, it's about a chubby purple cat who often risks his own life to save others, it's really so much more. Pop culture references, movie spoofs, and celebrity guest stars have all been done before and since, but this cartoon seemed to unite them all very harmoniously to comical effect. The only downside to that is that a lot of it may have gone right over a kid's head, which were generally who would have been watching Fox Kids at the time, but I suppose it did also offer an abundance of slapstick humor which may have helped balance it out. Overall, I'd give Eek the Cat 5 big bowls of Sharky Bites cereal out of 5, and definitely recommend you give this one a shot. If not for me, do it for Eek.
Yeah, this was just so much more fun than I remember from when I was a kid. Like, I don't know why I didn't care for it as much back then, but I was wrong. I think honestly, like, you were right in that so much of it probably went over our heads. But like as an adult, it's just joke after joke after joke, and it also really helps that Eek is so optimistic and sweet, despite like all these horrible things that keep happening to him over and over, because it just allows that slapstick part to just keep rolling without consequence. And they do it really well, especially like we said, once they get to those other seasons and they do those shorter episodes, it's very enjoyable because it's so easily digestible, and it just feels like they can squeeze so many jokes into just this 10 minutes. It just, I don't know, it boggles my mind a little bit, but it's definitely one I would recommend going back to for a nostalgia trip if you remember this cartoon as a kid.
Well, that's if you can find it, because at this point,
Yes.
It's gone through so many hands and it is now owned by Disney, who's keeping it locked away in their vaults for whatever reason. This would be a perfect addition to Disney Plus. Like, this would be a reason to keep Disney Plus after Mandalorian. Maybe not that extreme, but I'm just saying, like, if they ever do bring it to Disney Plus, please watch it, because it is so much better than we remember it being, like you said, because at this point in our lives, we can appreciate the full package and all the layers that has to it instead of just the slapstick part, which was all there, yeah, but without the substance behind it that we now see, it didn't feel complete.
And now for a 5-star review from Apple Podcasts.
Hey.
Yeah, and this review comes from TMNT Lover. And then there's a little turtle emoji next to it. So
Nice.
I think they're hinting at something here. They say, love the podcast. Keep making episodes. Can you do Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Oh, I want to.
Yeah, we absolutely can do Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we will. So there you go. But thank you so much for that review. Everyone out there that has given us reviews, thank you so much for that. And we really appreciate reading the comments when you do leave one also. And as always, we will read them on the air. We've even read some of the mean ones. So there we go.
We're going to get some SJW ones after this one for sure.
Oh, I know. Man, I always... I feel like anytime we get negative feedback, it's typically about me being an SJW. But you know what? I wear it like a badge because I like people and I want people to be happy. So there.
That's a very, very eek the cat mentality.
Yeah.
You're naively optimistic.
Optimistic at my own expense.
So thank you, Harball Moore and MF Mad, for suggesting this. This was one of those that was a really pleasant surprise because I thought it was just going to be kind of an average show. I thought it was going to be kind of like a Courage the Cowardly Dog thing where he was scared of everything and tried to shy away from it all. But no, he is the opposite. He jumps into every situation thinking he's going to be super helpful and then ends up hurting himself in the process. So he should be more scared, but he's not.
But he's not. And I love this character for that. And I love that we got to jump back in and watch this and kind of give me like a more fonder outlook of this show. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. So thank you so much for doing that for us.
Well, listeners, looks like a milk supply is now run dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And in 2 weeks, we'll be watching.
From the bottom of the list comes Bratz, suggested via Reddit by Aries Vivo.
Oh no. I have a feeling I'm not going to be pleasantly surprised by this one.
Well, yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a Monster High at all.
I don't expect it to be Monster High either. Another one that we got from the bottom. We thought it was going to be bottom worthy, but ended up being one of our favorite things we've watched. It was amazing. I don't feel like we're going to follow that same path here, but
yeah,
you know, we'll try to keep it open as we always try.
What was that one that we watched last year? There was like about a bunch of like fairy
Winx Club.
Yes,
the one that we will. Oh God, we get more grief over than anything else we have ever done. Everyone's so angry about Winx Club. Whatever.
Well, I think Bratz is going to be this year's Winx Club.
Oh man,
but you know, we'll see. Kumbaya.
Kumbaya.
Once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next Saturday.
Presented by Nerdsloth,
a place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.